Imagine a plane that took off one bright morning and never landed. No crash, no wreckage, just gone. For decades, no one knew where it went. But 37 years later, something impossible happened. The same plane appeared again, exactly as it was the day it vanished. Same passengers, same flight number, same mystery. This is the terrifying story of Flight 914, the plane that took off but never landed. They say time leaves no survivors, yet Flight 914 defied it. Was it trapped between dimensions, a government secret, or proof that time travel is real? Every record points to something extraordinary, a moment where science, mystery, and fear collided in the skies. Sit back, because what you're about to hear isn't just another aviation story. It's a true enigma that challenges everything we believe about time itself. It was July 2nd, 1955. Pan Am Flight 914 stood on the runway in New York, preparing for a routine flight to Miami. The weather was clear, passengers smiling, and the crew calm. Nothing seemed unusual. At 9:55 a.m., the engines roared. The DC-4 lifted smoothly, and Flight 914 disappeared into the clouds. For the next few minutes, air traffic control watched it move normally across their screens. Then suddenly, silence. Controllers called repeatedly, no response. The radar blip vanished. No emergency signal, no warning. Panic spread through the control room. A plane with 57 souls had simply ceased to exist. Within hours, rescue teams were in the air, searching across the ocean. They found nothing. No floating debris, no oil trails, no signs of a crash. To the world, Flight 914 had just vanished. Authorities launched one of the largest search operations in Pan Am's history. From New York to Miami and far into the Atlantic, hundreds of miles were scanned by aircraft and ships. The families waited, praying for any news, but days turned to weeks. There was no sign of life, no distress signal. The plane had completely disappeared from Earth's map. Investigators could not explain it. The weather was perfect, and the pilot, Captain Reginald Wilson, was one of the most experienced in the company. How could such a large aircraft just vanish in daylight? With no evidence to continue, the search was called off. On paper, Flight 914 was declared lost, presumed crashed. But behind closed doors, no one truly believed that story. In the following month, newspapers printed the tragedy on their front pages, calling it the flight that never arrived. Families mourned, and Pan Am paid compensations. Soon, the world moved on. Flight 914 became just another unsolved aviation mystery. But not everyone forgot. A few investigators refused to close the case. They believed there was something more, something officials weren't saying. Over time, strange documents and eyewitness accounts began to surface, suggesting that Flight 914's disappearance was anything but ordinary. 37 years passed. The world had changed. New technology, new airplanes, new skies. On May 21, 1989, an air traffic controller named Juan de la Corte sat in a tower in Caracas, Venezuela. It was an ordinary morning until his radar detected something unusual, a blip appearing out of nowhere. No flight plan, no radio contact, just a sudden aircraft signature from the 1950s. De la Corte tried contacting the unknown plane. Moments later, a voice crackled over the radio. "This is Pan Am Flight 914 from New York to Miami. Estimated arrival, July 2, 1955. The controller froze. Everyone in the tower went silent. The plane identified itself by the same number that vanished 37 years ago. As the mysterious DC-4 approached the Caracas airport, ground staff rushed to see it. It was old-fashioned, a model no longer in service. Through binoculars, they could even see passengers looking out of the windows, confused but calm. The plane requested landing clearance. When it touched down, the airport erupted in shock. Mechanics surrounded the aircraft, noticing it was spotless, like new. The pilot, visibly shaken, asked, "Where are we?" When told the date, 1989, he panicked, started the engines again, and within moments, the plane took off and disappeared into the clouds once more.
Everyone in the Caracas tower swore they saw the plane land. Official logs even recorded it. But minutes later, authorities arrived and seized every tape, photo, and document. Employees were told to stay silent, yet whispers spread fast. Mechanics claimed they touched the aircraft. One swore he saw passengers inside wearing 1950s clothing, holding old suitcases. Some said they looked terrified, staring through the windows as if they realized they didn't belong in that year. Whatever happened next, the government made sure it stayed hidden. Weeks later, news leaked. A local newspaper published a story, "Ghost Plane Lands in Caracas." Authorities dismissed it as rumor, but too many witnesses confirmed the same details. Pan Am refused to comment. Soon after, the entire article vanished from archives. The reporter disappeared under strange circumstances. Official records never mentioned the incident again, but conspiracy theorists kept digging. And what they found would make the mystery even darker. In 1990, photos began circulating in underground aviation groups. Images of a DC-4 parked at Caracas airport that day. The markings matched Pan Am Flight 914 exactly. Experts confirmed the photos were authentic. Still, no one could explain how an aircraft missing for 37 years appeared unchanged, with engines running and people inside. Every detail, the serial number, the design, even the company logo matched perfectly. It was as if the plane had never aged, frozen in time. Who brought it back? And where had it been all those years? Some scientists suggested a shocking idea: a time rift. Maybe the plane accidentally flew through a region where time itself warped, sending it decades into the future. Pilots have long reported strange air anomalies, zones where compasses spin and radio signals fail. Could Flight 914 have entered one of these? If so, the crew and passengers might have only experienced minutes, while the world outside moved forward 37 years. When they reappeared, nothing made sense, so they panicked and vanished again. Leaked documents hinted that U.S. authorities might have known about similar incidents. Files from the 1960s mentioned Project Blue Book aviation time distortions. Was Flight 914 part of a larger pattern? Some retired officials claimed radar picked up ghost echoes matching the plane's frequency for years after it vanished. But higher authorities ordered silence. Maybe because they feared public panic, or because they were studying the phenomenon themselves. When the 1989 news spread, relatives of the original passengers were stunned. Some were still alive, old but hopeful. They begged for answers. A few claimed they received mysterious phone calls, faint voices saying, "We're coming home." But the calls were traced to nowhere. Many families believed their loved ones were alive, trapped in some dimension or time loop. Others thought it was a cruel hoax. Still, deep down, none could shake the feeling that Flight 914 had never truly ended. A few months later, a retired air controller claimed he secretly recorded the radio communication that day. On the tape, a trembling pilot said, "Caracas Tower, something's wrong. Everything looks different. The sky, the planes, the buildings." Then silence. Experts who analyzed the tape confirmed the voice matched Captain Wilson's 1955 profile. But how could a man presumed dead for decades speak again in 1989? Authorities denied the tape's existence, but even today, copies circulate online, fueling endless debate. Some researchers noticed Flight 914's route passed near the Bermuda Triangle, a region infamous for disappearances. Ships, planes, and even submarines had vanished there for decades. Could Flight 914 have been pulled into that same mysterious vortex? Many believe the Bermuda Triangle is not just an area, but a gateway. Maybe the plane entered a different frequency of reality, where time works differently. If true, it could explain how Flight 914 stayed fresh for 37 years before slipping back into our world. In 1991, scientists studying old radar records found something strange, a repeating pulse that matched Flight 914's transponder frequency. It appeared once every few years, always for just a few minutes, and always over different parts of the world. It was as if the plane was still flying, but through dimensions we can't see. The pattern suggested it wasn't gone, just moving between realities. And somewhere, maybe, those passengers were still looking out the window, waiting to land. A man named Daniel Rogers, a maintenance worker at LaGuardia in 1955, gave a strange statement before his death. He said, "That day, I saw lightning in the sky, not from a storm, but from nowhere. Then, everything went silent, like the world paused." His story matched others who reported strange lights during Flight 914's takeoff. Could it have been the exact moment the plane crossed into a different dimension? No one can say for sure, but Daniel's memory haunted him for life. Pan American Airways never reopened the case, even after the Caracas incident. Former employees claimed the company was pressured by U.S. agencies to stay quiet. Some say Pan Am pilots were warned never to fly near the same route again. Files related to Flight 914 were sealed indefinitely. Every time a journalist tried to dig deeper, they were met with silence or threats. It seemed someone didn't want the truth to come out. But secrets never stay buried forever. After the Caracas event, radar tracked Flight 914 for about 10 minutes before it vanished again. Its last recorded heading pointed toward the Atlantic, the same path it disappeared along in 1955. Then, nothing. Many believe it re-entered the same rift. Others say the passengers might now be stuck in a time loop, forever repeating that doomed flight. Some even claim to have heard ghostly transmissions on shortwave radios, the same flight number, repeating over static. Theories about Flight 914 exploded across the world. Some said aliens abducted the plane. Others believed it was part of secret time travel experiments gone wrong. Scientists, however, struggled to explain how a physical aircraft could remain intact across decades. Skeptics dismissed the whole story as a hoax, but none could explain the radar data, the witnesses, or the missing records.
For many, Flight 914 became proof that the universe hides mysteries beyond human understanding. A chilling story surfaced years later. A Caracas airport janitor claimed he saw a woman inside the plane's window just before it vanished, staring directly at him. She pressed her hand against the glass, mouthing something he couldn't hear. When investigators showed him passenger lists from 1955, he pointed to a name: Margaret Williams. She was a real passenger, declared dead decades earlier. His description of her matched perfectly. How could he recognize someone who never aged a day? In 1995, a collector bought an old Pan Am flight logbook from an estate sale. Inside was a note believed to be written by Captain Wilson. "The clouds are strange. Time feels slower here. I hope we find our way back." Experts dated the ink and confirmed it was authentic, written in the 1950s. But how did it surface 40 years later? The note reignited global interest, suggesting that the captain might have realized they were trapped somewhere between worlds. In 2001, a declassified document labeled Case 914X surfaced online. It described unexplained aerial reappearances and temporal displacement. Though details were redacted, the flight number and pilot's name were visible. The US government quickly removed the file, but copies remain archived by enthusiasts. Was it confirmation that authorities always knew? Or just another hoax? Whatever it was, the timing was too precise to ignore. Once again, Flight 914 refused to stay forgotten. Pilots in the 2010s began reporting strange blips appearing briefly on modern radar, signatures identical to 1950s aircraft models. None could be identified. One even reported hearing an old radio message. "This is Pan Am 914, requesting landing clearance." Experts claim it's impossible. Outdated radio frequencies shouldn't exist anymore, but recordings surfaced, eerily matching Captain Wilson's voice. Could the plane still be lost between time layers, endlessly circling the skies? Today, Flight 914 remains one of aviation's greatest mysteries. No proof, no wreckage, just whispers across decades. Some say it's a myth. Others believe the passengers are still flying, trapped in an endless loop through time. Maybe one day, skies will open again, and the world will see Flight 914 descend once more, frozen in 1955. Until then, it remains the plane that defied logic, history, and time itself. The plane that took off, but never landed.